Hello. This is Happy Valley Hobbies, and these are hobbies that make me happy. And looks like Randall Wigwag Valleys is already in the house, waiting for things to happen. And tonight it's all about this figuring out this, making decisions. Um, I finally got the locomotive operating. Um, However, it's one of those things of I can't really finish the project because right now I would have to order stuff, and right now funds are just not there. Um, so my thought process was to turn around and all right, put this one aside for a while and maybe pick up a project that I had put down or start a new one. Uh, Although I have the stuff to start a new project, uh, I'm leaning not towards that direction. Right now, the direction I'm aiming for. Let me see if I can get this in shot. Is to finish this project. Now, this project, I actually put this project down, to start the layout. It's basically it's a diorama. Right now, I have right now I have two dioramas that have broad gauge bridges on them. The first one was a bridge that was a trying to think now. It's a Queen Post bridge, and the second one is a King Post bridge covered. It's a covered bridge, both by Hunterline. And basically, what I was going to do with this one down here was do what is called a covered truss bridge. I asked Rick Hunter from Hunterline. How's the job going? The job is there. It's I'm getting like conflicting messages if they're going to hire me. Right now through a temp agency, and it's sort of like, it's like you're doing great work, but you're not fast enough. So it's like, is that good? Is that bad? Are they going quality over quantity? I don't know. So since I am through a temp agency, my what my current plan is hope for the best that they say yes, we'll hire you on full time. But since I am through a temp agency, turn around and it's one of those things of, I mean, the pay is good, but at the same time, I don't know. It's not the best place I've worked at, but it's also not the worst. I get along. I believe I get along with most of my coworkers. I mean, I don't get anything that's, I want to say, bad. Or it's one of those things that I don't quite know. But since I am through a temp agency, if this doesn't work out, they could flip me on to hopefully something different. If I do get hired on permanently, One of the things I'd be aiming for is to uh, get it, because I have experience in it, is in the shipping department. The disadvantage with that is that it looks like the shipping department doesn't have a second shift, so I would lose that dollar an hour differential. But they also start at a higher rate and end at a higher rate. Because every job has a quote ceiling. And they actually mm, huh, they just thought I would retire and stay on company full time 2.5 years ago. Nice. Yeah, that's another thing is that you can't. There's no way. Oh, hello there, Bernard C. Hi. Uh, Thank you for popping in. Uh, it is nice to see people that that I do see uh, in other places. In fact, since I see you a lot, let's see. We'll add you as a, sort of do like a what Anthony Dodge does. Uh, the thing is, I don't make everyone a moderator right off the bat like he does. Mainly because it's if somebody's there just for a short period and they're like, this is not what they really want and all that. I mean, it's okay, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to make them a moderator. I would want to make a moderator of people that I want to say I recognize the name. Either in this chat or in other chats, and I've seen Bernard around a lot, so that's interesting. StreamYard shows up for me not as a moderator, even though I own the channel, so it's like, okay, but actually, YouTube does. It highlights Happy Valley Hobbies, but it doesn't show a wrench on it, which you would think, since you own the channel, it would have at least a wrench on it. But oh well. Yeah, and that's just it. It's important to recognize the moderators. Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that I don't know their actual names. Also, Bernard, you're easy because you have it in the name. It's on, as they say over on the other side of the pod. It's on the tin. But then there's other ones that, like I think I've known Wigwag for a longest time and all that, but I honestly do not know their names. I'm assuming I would assume that it's a guy because that's 90% of our hobby. Chris. It might take me a while. It might take me a while to get what your name is, so I apologize in advance to constantly go, "Hey, what's your name?" Now, Chris, I believe you're. Oh, there's another one that's an easy name to remember, which is Hot Dog Pilot Andy. Hello there, Andy. I was on his live stream this morning. Yeah, I think, Randall popped in earlier, but I do not know if he's still here. Because he has not, shown up. He was here first. He was here first, but I have not seen him since. Well, thank you, Andy. Uh, well, I would have to say I'm drinking just water, not the interesting cup that Andy had this morning. I do not have any. Yeah, I don't have any cups or anything with animals on it. Um, I mean, I do have. Uh, I mean, I haven't really been using them, but Rick Bailey, I got a couple of his stuff and all that, but I uh, haven't been using them because, well, I have other cups, and this one I'm using right now is one of those aluminum, yeah, extruded aluminum insulated mugs. Used to get up at dawn. Well, that's one way to um, hmm. But yeah, I would have to say, not sure what my sister would get me. Yeah. But yeah, this particular episode I'm trying to do. But yeah, yeah. Today I'm sort of trying to figure out what decisions to do. One decision I'm trying to keep on track is actually, instead of just saying live stream and the date on it, uh, basically putting a date and a title. Uh, One of the things that was actually uh, for a title, do a because like Anthony Dodge does, and because Anthony Dodge does this. But that, and also thinking about doing thumbnails. But a lot of this stuff requires a little bit of forethought, and I've been so used to just getting on the thing, hit record, and away we go. So that's another thing, is trying to figure out how to do do thumbnails, make them a little bit more interesting, I guess. But yeah, and let's go over to the workbench. Change webcams. All right. All right. Ooh, that's one thing I had forgot. I forgot to grab my phone. All right. All right. Hold on one second. I'm going to grab my phone. All right, I got the phone. Turn the sound off on the phone so there's no echo. Well, I would have to say maybe a little bit ahead of the game. And it's basically mostly small improvements. I mean, one of the improvements was uh, well, actually, I would have to say the latest improvement was let's see if I can get that there. Uh, so, all right, let's see. Let me switch over the computer real bit. Click on that. Ooh, photo line editor. All right. I'll check that out afterwards. Thank you, Chris. But as I was talking about that bridge earlier, I actually have when I asked about the bridge with Rick from Hunterline of how to do a covered truss bridge. He told me to use the covered bridge and turned around and hey, Randall came back. The guy that was here first. But yeah, right now I got the locomotive working and ready to rock and roll. However, I do not have ooh, maybe that's why it's not. I just haven't realized this is not. This rocks. I just realized something. I can't use a flange wheel on a geared one because that is a different. That's a different height. Huh. I did not realize that. See how that yeah, that rocks back and forth. Huh. I did not know that the blind wheel, because on the original models, this is blind. And apparently the blind wheel is a different size wheel. So that's why this is derailing. So I gotta turn around and replace that with a blind wheel. As much as I don't want to. So, huh. So I guess I gotta. So I guess I'm not finished with this yet. Turn around and disassemble the whole thing again and put on the blind drivers, which means I only take a only 2 locomotives to take it apart. Huh. All right, I guess. Yeah. not really in the mood right now to do that. But maybe it'll be for uh, next next week. Yeah, next weekend. But yeah, basically, Rick from Hunter Line said basically turn around and uh, some things I won't be needing, which would be like the roof shakes, which I could probably use it for something else. Same thing with the roof, maybe the roof shingles. But basically, what we're basically wind up doing, I might have to actually find extra pieces because with the covered truss bridge, this is the sort of like the floor plan. The roof portion of it keeps everything straight, but on a as you can see on the end view, the roof sort of keeps everything all nice and square. But a truss, the truss bridge, which right now I don't have the instructions for, actually these what do they call them, cords. These cords actually come out, and then there's extra support on the side, which also may or may not be covered. I've actually seen pictures of them both differently. So I need to see if I got some extra 6x10s or 6x12s to turn around and make that. But then let's see. Driver under the cab looks a little high. No, that's how the model is. I mean, I did have to modify the this right here, so the driver can go underneath it. But then, if you look at it from this side, it's not a cylinder. It's like a half cylinder, and because it's molded in the I mean, here it looks like a cylinder, but it's not. If you look at it from this side here, it is not. It's more. It's like a semicircle, and then you have the draft of what the molded in thing is. So I had that's the only thing I had to trim to be able to do this. I thought there was going to be a lot more modification I would have to do to bring it to 6 foot wide gauge. I did have to, I took the end of the crosshead, bend it at a more than a 45-degree angle to clear the front drivers. And as you can see, I also put the side rods on the outside of the crosshead instead of on the inside where it is on the original model. And let's see if I can find. Let's see if I can find a. Yes. All right. Now here's an unmodified one. This is at standard gauge, and actually because this is silver, you might be able to maybe be able to see it better. That yeah, I actually had to take and notch that out, but no, I made the wrong mistake that this was at the same level of these, but it seems that this is a little bit lower, so it rocks, and that's why it's derailing. Another thing I was sort of debating on was oh, hello there, James. Thank you for coming in. Andy's still in the hospital. Okay, why is Andy in the hospital? that is the question I have for you, because apparently I am way out of the loop there, James. And of course, another question I have is which Andy? There's plenty of Andys that are around here. In fact, there's one else said he's not in the hospital. But yeah, I thought I was going to have to do much more modifications to the body of the locomotive than I have to. I did come across, I guess there is a Northwest Short Line conversion motor for this, which I would also think about also converting. But at the same time, I'm not quite sure if the motor's any. It looks like it might be a direct replacement, so it's like one of those things of, yeah, you're replacing the motor, but the motor, the back head's still way out here. So I'm gonna see if funds, make it so it's like maybe get a shorter motor that would go in there. Oh, Shane's in the hospital. No, this is not a kit. This is actually a kit bash. Basically, I took. Originally, this locomotive was like this one. It was like narrow, which is standard gauge, but it's narrow because I'm doing broad gauge. And as you can see here, there's no gap on the frame here, but here there's gaps on there. Right now I'm trying to model 6-foot gauge, which is the outside rail of this dual gauge. Standard gauge is in the center. Normally when somebody sees dual gauge and all that, it's usually this is either 3 foot or usually 3 foot, sometimes 4 foot, or whatever the narrow gauge is. And it looks like Curly Express has come in, and so has Caboose 173. And yeah, I would have to say right now I have to get different trucks for the tender. Right now I'm leaning towards LaBelle because they are set up as three separate pieces, not a single piece. But yeah, get well, James. I did not know that you were in the hospital. But also, I just remembered something, that there is a. We're not that far off from Amherst. There was on the Discord, it's like, it's in Springfield. It's like, which Springfield? Because, it's like, and somebody made a joke that it was in Illinois Springfield. Somebody from Tennessee says, "Oh, I can't make it, it's out of state." It's like, it was a bad attempt at a joke. It's actually in Massachusetts Springfield. And I'm thinking, it's like, that's still outside of Tennessee. But so yeah, that's one of the things I'm thinking of is finishing the uh, finishing that diorama. Um, so, and that's what I probably will switch gears in doing. But now that I know why this is always derailing, because it doesn't have a blind driver, I got to figure out where I put said blind driver so I can put the blind driver on. Why, thank you. It's I think it's going to work well with the broad gauge stuff. There is an issue, and that is right here. I'm not sure if you noticed this, but this was on here, and for some reason it has popped off, and it looks like it's does not want to go back into the correct gauge. It's like somehow shrunk. So I'm not sure if I did something wrong here. Because yeah, I mean it looks like this rail has somehow lengthened. So I don't know what happened here. I knew there was going to be teething problems every now and then, but I'm not sure how to fix this particular problem. But that's another reason why I was thinking of stopping this particular one. Yeah, that might be. Well, the interesting thing is that I do have right here. Here's where the gaps are. So don't know. I might have to turn around and, well, as far as I know, the other two are pretty solid. So I might be able to turn around and maybe pull this track all the way up and then re-gauge it. I do have rail laying stuff that I could turn around and get it to redo. Let's see what happens here. Let's go this direction. Let's see what happens. So let me re-gauge it a little bit. And now it's out of gauge on this side. Well, something let's figure out later on. Yeah, put in a gap. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking on doing. But the track itself is not that particularly long. Let's see. Yeah, I want to say there's maybe only like a hand and a half track that you don't see that's off camera. So this is not a very large layout. It's total of well, with the the transfer table, which is way out of sight. It's basically only 6 foot long. But I might have to go through and redo this. I mean, as I said, there's maybe this length of rail is only maybe a little bit over 4 foot long. If I remember correctly, the rails themselves, I think, are about a full meter. For some reason, it wasn't 3 feet. So there's from here, there's an extra foot that way. But yeah, that was one of the reasons why I was like, yeah, maybe put this aside for a while and then we'll figure out other things. Yeah, and yeah, it's a good portion of this is already loose. I must have not have put enough because not everything else is up. And what just happened? My computer just went off. Why did my computer go off? Okay, that was bizarre. I would have to say, annoyingly, my computer decided to go asleep on me. Did I lose anybody? All right. It just jumped a bit. Okay. Yeah. The thing is, I got my phone keeping track of the chat, but then all of a sudden, it just got dark over there where the monitors are, and I'm like going like, hey, wait a minute. All right. So, all right, Bernard. I guess I'll see you later. Yeah. Audio went fuzzy for a moment. That's all. Huh. I'm not sure why it did what it did, but it's a brand new. It's basically a brand new computer. I bought it maybe a couple of months ago. Hello there, Sidetracks. Thank you for coming in. But yeah, that's what I'll probably wind up doing is just actually going through, and since most of this track for some reason is already not connected, I'll go and oops. All right, see you later, Bernard. Another thing I have forgotten, it's off camera, you can't see it, but I do have a clock over here, to keep track of time, but there is a clock that is on the phone, so I don't really need don't really need the clock, but it's nice to have if I don't have the phone. But yeah, it looks like there's a couple other things I could do to keep me occupied on this particular project, but I am also thinking of going back to the other project. And it looks like, even though I haven't touched it, apparently there has been some damage on it. Let's see if I can sneak this on here. Seems that the glue is pulled away on this. Same thing here. But yeah, this is supposed to be a bridge section over a canal. So the covered truss bridge will be over the canal, and then a regular normal truss over here. Not sure what is causing things to peel away, but obviously I'm going to have to put glue on there and then find some way to looks like there's a little bit of place to clamp on stuff where things have come off, so that's a good sign. Yeah, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking about going back to this project to get it back, or just something else to do, basically. Ooh, Prince Edward Island. Gotcha. Yeah, it's like that's one of the things of trying to rebuild things is that trying to get things working properly, and a lot of stuff today I want to say is deliberately designed to break, but sometimes in older designs, like with the plastic shafts, it might have been yeah, I want to say sometimes they just the people who are building it just didn't know how to make things last in some cases. Especially if something that's like it started out as a hobby style building and all that, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait a minute, we need to do XYZ. But eventually, they a lot of the older stuff, once it got working properly enough, they just left it alone. They didn't really improve upon it. And that's what I think what happened with the Athearn Blue Box. It's like it was, they got it designed to the point where it worked fine on DC. But when it came time to add DCC to it, what made the blue box work didn't work anymore. And there's times in my opinion, this constant, we need to improve. This constant, continuously improving. Gotcha. No turntable. Yeah. But yeah, it's like one of those things of yeah, that's just it. Sometimes getting something for free isn't free. Speaking of, well, it wasn't quite free, But this was the original plan, was to work on this as my experiment for broad gauge. But the thing is, when I disassembled it and all that and took the wheel off, not quite sure if you can see that, but it's not a straight axle all the way through. It's not a single-sided axle all the way through. It's actually stepped, which was sort of kind of surprising that why they didn't use, like on this, just a straight axle all the way through. And my thought process was they did that so it was easier to assemble. You know, you turn around, you press on the wheels, and it's already engaged. Whereas this style, you have to make sure that it's correctly engaged, because there's no hard stop on it. But that was my original plan, mainly because if this failed, which this has, this came in a box of parts and all that. And originally, I wasn't planning on doing anything with this, because this thing, the things like the smokestack's not straight, and there's just a lot of issues with this. It's definitely a toy train that was like, okay, it's close enough. But yeah, I was going to use that as the experiment, and then I might still do that, but I just haven't figured out exactly what to do with it. I mean, there's plenty of room for a decoder and all that fun stuff. It was a mousetrap. But yeah, sometimes you wind up getting, you get what you pay for. And but like with me with track here, I mean, no one makes excuse me, no one makes broad gauge track, especially 6 foot. I don't know if they make any 7 foot broad gauge, because there is a club over in England that does, at least one club that I know that does the Burnell gauge. Okay, Randall, I guess I'll see you later. And hopefully you get home soon enough to give the family hugs. Now, the question I have is, who is on Sidetrack Sunday? I believe John and Ray have already done their stunt, and I guess it's one of the 3 new people, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I would assume that it's very niche. Same thing with this. I mean, this is from my understanding, 6 foot gauge eventually went away by the 1880s. I modeled 1876. And the way the story is going is that the railroad has decided to go standard gauge, and what it's doing is adding a rail in the center, to standard gauge, and starting with the main line, branch slides and sidings are still 6 foot gauge. Unless the customer asks for, specifically asked for it, if it's a high volume customer that wanted to expand their stuff and all that, then it would wind up dual gauging whatever siding it was. This particular layout version of it, they didn't do that. You're supposed to. They're supposed to be on this side over here, like rocks and all that, because originally it would have had only one, um, but they decided to add a second track. But instead of widening this part here and taking away the rocks, um, they instead put a gauntlet track in here. Uh, so that's the oh, sorry. That's the reason why they uh, did it that way. Uh, this is going to be more of a generic. Yeah, I mean that's one of the things of, and I believe if I remember correctly, places that used to be 6 foot gauge also had the same thing because the loading gauge was also wider. The loading gauge for standard gauge in the United States is 10 foot wide. Apparently, with the 6 foot gauge, they were able to go up to, I believe, 11, maybe 11 and a half, I think. I forgot exactly which. And that made it so the Erie Strucka Viaduct was originally a single track 6 foot gauge. But they found out that when they turned around and went to standard gauge, they had enough room to put a second track in. So now it's 2-track standard gauge. Yes, pretty much. Mind the gap. I do remember going up I think it's called the Helderberg Bike Trail. It is a bike trail between Albany, New York, and Voorheesville, New York. And the first time I went on it, there was a warning sign saying "Warning," narrow. I think it said narrow bridge. It said something that was narrow. And I sort of chuckle. It's like, this used to be a broad gauge line. How is it narrow? But yeah, unfortunately, it was an active line for the longest time. Then there was a washout, and the railroad, instead of fixing the washout, they said, "Oh, we'll just come in from the other direction." And in doing so, they wound up getting rid of the diamond at Voorheesville. So it was one of those things of, with trains, with then Conrail, now it's CSX and D&H, constantly going over this diamond. Voorheesville was relatively noisy, and then when they took that out, they're like, the residents that grew up there were very nervous. It's like, wait, there's no clanking. But yeah, that's what I'm currently contemplating. I'm going back to the diorama and working on the bridge there. I guess I could say I'm slightly burned out with this locomotive. But it's one of the things that when that project is finally finished, I'll probably go back to this. So that's my thought on that. So it's possibly DB Tech tonight for Sidetrack Sunday. Let's double check YouTube. Think about, I don't know. This YouTube might not have got the idea Yes. I haven't refreshed YouTube, so it still says 24 people are watching on Andy's channel. It's like, no, that's not going to happen. No. Nice. Ours Trains is running. He hasn't been running that much lately. All right, it's not that one. There's one thing I don't like about YouTube. They say, "Oh, here's all your subscriptions," and there's like uh, no rhyme and reason in how they do things. All right. Yes, it is DV Tech. The thumbnail has Lifelike, Vernie, and Gilbert. And 4 people are waiting. Let's do that. There we go. So, all right, let me switch cameras again. All right. So that's one thing I don't like about currently with StreamYard. They don't make it easy switching between cameras. I have to go into settings. There we go. All right, new comments. All right. So, yeah, it's like that's what trying to figure out what to do for the new year. You know, going forward, it's like what what plans are on, and it's one of those things of you should not be afraid to change gears. A lot of times it's like, oh, you got to go, but there's times it's like going like, I'm just gonna put this aside, go into another project, whatever it winds up being. Ooh, that's interesting. I'm watching the phone, which is next to the keyboard, and my YouTube is on that monitor, and I want to say they're like a quarter of a second off. With the interestingly is that the phone is before coming back onto this, so why it's done that way, I don't know. But thank you everyone for coming. It's with not much sun out. I'm actually seeing about possibly get one of those what do they call them, happy lights or whatever, and all that. See if that winds up make me feel better and all that fun stuff. But don't know. It's one. I mean, it makes logical sense, and especially since I'm constantly indoors. Uh, One thing I have been doing is uh, opening up the blinds during the daytime and all that. Maybe let some natural light in. But yeah, thanks for everyone for coming in. And another decision that I'm throwing up in the air is learning on how to do. Well, thank you, Chris. Is to turn around and try to do edited videos, not just a Sunday live stream. So, but that that's going to require me to dust off my dust off my editing skills, because I did a little bit when I was working with New Tracks Modeling. But it's New Year, so don't know what things are, but I'll see everyone over at DB Tech. Thank you for coming, and I think that the world needs more love. So find your passion, add some silliness to it, and spread it around. Bye.